Greetings and welcome to another edition of Van Man Talks Metal. Today we're going for another ranking list, an album's ranking list, and we are going for Atlanta, Georgia's very own Mastodon, one of my favourite bands. I'm sure at some point I'll probably do like a favourite bands list, but these guys are exceptional. They're one of my favourite bands. I've seen them live a ton of times. I absolutely adore them. They're one of my favourites. So first of all, I just want to kick out some honourable mentions there. I'm just going for studio albums in this list, but they've released a couple of sort of side EPs, whatever you want to call them, cooler than Mastodon, which is kind of like early demos and stuff like that. It's alright, there's a couple of, you know, good tracks on here, but I definitely want to mention the EP that they done, Cold Dark Place. Oh my god, that short EP, I think it's only about 4 songs, but that is amazing. I think they released it between, what was it? I'm probably wrong, I think like between Once More Around the Sun. Is it after Once More Around the Sun? I think it was sort of recorded around that. I don't know, I'm probably wrong, I'm probably talking shit. But yeah, that EP, Cold Dark Place, if they'd done an entire album of those tracks, and it was as good as those 4 tracks, that album would probably be up there in my top 3. I absolutely love that EP. It's amazing. It's so haunting. Brent's sort of his traditional sort of squealing, haunting vocals that he does on that album, especially the first track, that North Star's coming around, it ain't gonna be around for you. Oh, it's so good. Like I say, if they'd done a whole album of that, I think that would be in my top 4 at least, definitely. But yeah, honourable mentions to those 2 albums. So we're just going to go for the studio albums, and first starts 2011's The Hunter. Now I want to make it clear from the bat here, Mastodon have not done a bad album. I love all their albums. I love every single album that they've done. So there's no like St. Anger equivalent on here. There's no albums that I can't stand. Every single one is good. This is a list of great to masterpiece, I'd say. It's not worst to best. It's great. All their albums are great to masterpiece, and something has to come last, doesn't it? And The Hunter for me is at the bottom. It's probably the album that I just go back to the least. You know, I visit this album probably the least out of all of them, but it doesn't mean they haven't got some absolutely cracking tracks on this album. I mean, the opener, Black Tongue, what a great opener to the album. That bum bow bum bum ba now 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 now. What an awesome opening riff, and Brann's drums kicking in, brilliant. Dry Bone Valley, probably up there, probably in my top 10 Mastodon songs. Head down running from the beast. Awesome, absolutely love it. Stargasm, what a great song, and what a great title. Then you slip into overdrive, but you're not here. Awesome, great tracks on this album, but I think there are a few tracks that I do skip on this album. Blastroid, Octopus Has No Friends, don't really do a crazy amount for me. The end song, The Creature Lives, doesn't really do a hell of a lot for me. I remember seeing them live. I think I went for a beer when that track started. I was knackered anyway. They'd just gone through a load of heavy tracks. They started playing that song. I'm like, yeah, I'm going for a beer. So yeah, like I say, they're not bad tracks. You know, that's the difference. I don't listen to those songs and think, God, these are awful. I'm just, you know, they're okay. So yeah, that would be why it's at the bottom of my list, but still an absolutely great album. So next up we have 2002's Remission. Oh my god, this is heavy. This is a heavy album. This is without doubt Mastodon at their most heaviest, and this is why I adore this band, because you have all different varieties of Mastodon, whichever album you choose to play. But if I want heavy, sludgy, dirty Mastodon, then I go to this album. It's brilliant. I guess the only reason it's probably not a little bit higher up is I kind of feel like this album is a practice session for Leviathan. I mean, even tracks on it have identical riffs that were pulled off of this album and put onto the Leviathan album. If you listen to Where Strides the Behemoth and Old Nessie, some of those tracks are very, very similar to the ones on Leviathan, but some of them have riffs that are just, you know, blatantly pulled off of it. So yeah, I always see this album as just a practice session for Leviathan, really. So that's probably why it's not a bit higher up. But oh my god, it's heavy, and it's got some absolutely killer Mastodon tracks on here. Some that would be in my top 10 all-time Mastodon tracks. Obviously, March of the Fire Ants is an absolute classic Mastodon riff. It's the same when I done my Metallica video. I said that there's certain riffs that when you hear, you just instantly just think Metallica. For Metallica, it was another riff off their first album, Seek and Destroy. When I hear that riff, I just think, ah, Metallica. And when I hear the riff of March of the Fire Ants, I just think, ah, Mastodon. Oh, so good. But even tracks like Workhorse on this album are absolutely fantastic. Troy's just guttural vocals, and I don't think he's ever been that sort of guttural with his vocals, like he's dying in pain on that track as he has done in any other Mastodon track. Mother Puncher, oh my god, the riff on Mother Puncher, that oh my god, it's so good. Some of their best riffs are on this album, and it is a killer crunching album. And yeah, Mastodon at their heaviest, without doubt. Love this album. Okay, so next we have 2014's Once More Around the Sun. Now this is a lot of people's sort of least favourite album, and a lot of people don't like it altogether. I absolutely love this album. I think it's brilliant. It's got some absolutely amazing songs on it. And like I said before, each Mastodon album, the beauty of this band is each album gives you a different flavour, and this for me is sing-along Mastodon. You got so many great sing-along tracks on this album. The obvious one, Motherload, to start with. If anyone hasn't seen the music video to this, please just, well, watch the rest of this video, then check out the music video. Also check out their appearance on, was it Saturday Night Live or Jimmy Kimmel, or one of those shows where Brann is wearing like a ginormous massive afro when they play this song live. It's brilliant. But yeah, just great sing-along tracks. The Motherload, this time things will work out just fine. I mean, it's just great sing-along tunes, isn't it? Well, so you got Sleep in the Dark, I'm on fire, and I can't get you out of my mind. It's brilliant choruses on this song. You got Aunt Lisa, you got Ember City, and then you're slipping away. What do I say to you? Oh, it's just great sing-along song. I do apologise. A lot of my music reviews just contains me singing and singing riffs and singing choruses. But yeah, this album's a great sing-along album. It also has what I think is Mastodon's most underrated song, Halloween. What a great track that is. Halloween, that riff at the end of the song, oh my god, I just wish it would go on forever. There's that oh, it's brilliant. Such a great song, such an underrated song in my opinion. But yeah, an absolutely great, cracking album. Mastodon at their sing-along best. I love it. So next up we have 2007's Emperor of Sands. Now this was a return to their concept albums with very dark topics, battling with cancer and things like that. It's a dark concept for the album, but what a great album. Really great return to form for Mastodon with this album. I love Brent's vocals throughout this album. He just seems to get better and better for me vocal wise, Brent. He gets slated a lot live, and understandably I've seen him live where the vocals haven't quite been up to it. They never seem to be able to recreate them as well as they do on the albums, but come on man, they're playing complicated instruments at the same time. It's got to be difficult. But yeah, I absolutely love Brent on this album. From the first song, Sultan's Curse, I fall asleep under blankets of stars. Oh, it's so beautiful, I love it. Precious Stones, what a great track that is. I hope the sun shows away. Such a good song. And Brann's drumming is he kind of, well, I mean, he's always amazing. He is always amazing, Brann, but he just sort of hit it a bit harder on this album again from the sort of previous two. I think his drumming was absolutely amazing. Steam Breather, another amazing track. Running outside the NASCAR lines, and then that funky Brann drum style, like almost disco style, and during that song is really good. And bloody hell, what an ending to this album. Maybe in my top 5 favourite Mastodon tracks is Jaguar God. Oh my god, that is a beautiful way. You could have quite easily have chucked that song onto Crack the Skye and it wouldn't have, you know, it wouldn't have touched the absolute beauty of that album if you chucked that song on it. It was amazing. Okay, so we're into the top 3 now. Now, I'd hazard a guess that 90% of Mastodon fans will have these 3 albums in their top 3. What order they're in, thanks mate, what order they're in is up to you, but I wouldn't blame anyone for whatever order they have. These 3 albums are all absolutely impeccable. For me, I have in at number 3, 2004's Leviathan. Now, this is the first ever Mastodon album I heard when it came out in 2004, and it holds a special memory for me because it was 2004. I just moved out of home. I was living with my mate. You know, first little taste of freedom. I remember basically the way that I heard this album is me and my mate, we had tickets to go see. Any of you that didn't go to this gig, I think, is going to be insanely jealous right now, but we had tickets to go and see Slipknot and Slayer co-headlining Hammersmith Apollo with Mastodon in support. Oh, what a gig! And we'd never heard of Mastodon, and my mate bought the album in, bought Leviathan, and brought it in, and oh my god, what an amazing. So I've got some good memories of this album. You like I say, just moved out of home, first taste of freedom. I think quite a lot of weed smoking was involved with this album. But this is another reason that makes Mastodon, for me personally, quite unique, because they've kind of journeyed with me throughout my whole adult life. I can't really think of any other bands that have done the same thing, where my whole adult life has been shared with Mastodon. Like I say, this album 2004, and each album represents like a different stage of my life, so they're a very special band for me. And yeah, this one has a lot of good memories for me. But yeah, oh my god, this album is amazing for me. This is Brann Dailor at his best. His drumming is absolutely phenomenal on this album. I mean, I think of tracks like Aqua Dementia, where the start of that, to me, it's almost like the guitars are playing the rhythm for that song, and Brann is just going all over the place, like almost playing a guitar solo on his drums. It's just absolutely phenomenal. And you know, we all know how good Iron Tusk is, and Blood and Thunder. You know, they're absolutely exceptional tracks, but every single other track on the album is on par. And you know, I love the concept. I love the, you know, when you hear the ocean sounds in Hearts Alive, you know, it just takes me, I'm right there on that boat with Captain Ahab. You know, it just, when I listen to that album, I'm just engrossed in that, and it's just amazing. amazing, this album. It's so heavy, but again, experimental as well. I mean, it was definitely more their sort of first taste of mixing things up a little bit. There's a lot of melodic parts, there's a lot of experimental parts, but there's heavy as well, and obviously Blood and Thunder, one of their most iconic tracks. Yeah. When you see the white whale. Awesome, classic Mastodon, absolutely love it. Okay, so we are down to the last two, and you're about to find out what my favourite Mastodon album is. These have changed places quite a few times. If you'd asked me 6 months ago, I'd probably give you a different answer. But I did re-listen to all the albums sort of fresh, so they're all fresh in my mind before doing this video. And yeah, I mean, I'll give my reasons to why number one is number one in a second. But in number two, we have 2006 Blood Mountain. Now, like I say, every Mastodon album gives a different flavour of theirs, and I think Blood Mountain is definitely Mastodon at their most weirdest, most experimental, you know, thinking in the forefront, tracks like Circle Sisquash, the strange robotic vocals in the middle of that track, Blade Catcher, the start of Blade Catcher. I remember hearing that song for the first time, that it's just absolutely mental. I've never heard so much insanity in a song in my life before, but it is just amazing. When you hear it, you just think, what is this noise? And then suddenly that guitar bit kicks in, the diddly 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 diddly. Oh, so good. Yeah, they're most weirdest, they're most experimental, but also, you know, the prog side's coming in a little bit more. Capillion's Chest, I always want to say chest, I don't know why. Capillion's Crest, another one of my favourite tracks off the album. If you haven't seen Brann Dailor play the drums to this song, he done like a sort of showcase, drum showcase with Danny Carey. The video's on YouTube. I'll try and remember to put it in the description below. But his drums are just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. To that song, it's so good, so good. He is my favourite drummer. He's my favourite drummer of all time. I absolutely adore this guy. No one else has got style like he has. He's just absolutely amazing. But yeah, also on this album you got more sort of accessible songs like Colony of Birchmen, which I think was sort of them paving the way for their future Curl of the Bells and Show Yourself. It was their first sort of semi-radio friendly track, I'd say, and you've got great guest vocals from Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age. But yeah, every single track absolutely amazing. It was my number one for a long time, but it's just been knocked down a peg for reasons that I shall give. So number one, we have 2009's Crack the Skye. I'd probably safely say this is actually most people's favourite Mastodon album, but it's just a masterpiece. It's just an absolute masterpiece. From the opening notes of Oblivion to the last part of the Last Baron, it is just an absolute masterpiece. I don't think I can say the same thing for every single Mastodon album, where literally it is faultless. This album is faultless. There is not a single note wrong in this album from start to finish. It is amazing. And even, you know, the first track, Oblivion, probably has my favourite Mastodon guitar solo in. Absolutely amazing. The vocals, fall from grey skies, I've been away too long. Oh, it's just absolutely amazing. Is this guy letting me through? Yeah, he's letting me through. The Tsar, what an amazing build, what a slow build to that ending riff. It's just absolutely beautiful. Beautiful is the word, and I always like to say that each Mastodon album's got its own flavour, and this is, yeah, it's proggy, but it's just beautiful, isn't it? It's just such a beautiful album, and I don't know, it's hard for me to kind of pick out each individual songs, because again this album is just, for most people probably, just one large song. It's just one whole song. I'll very rarely think, oh, I want to listen to that one song. You know, other Mastodon albums, I think, oh, I need some Blood and Thunder right now, or I need some Halloween off of Once More Round the Sun. But if I'm going to listen to Crack the Skye, you just have to listen to the whole album, don't you, from start to finish. You can't just pick out one song. It's weird. Has some fond memories, like I was saying previously. Every single Mastodon album represents a certain time in my life. It's probably got some emotional value, this album. I just got out of a long-term relationship, and this album just came out, so it's got some memories there for me. But yeah, absolutely cracking masterpiece, a masterpiece of an album, and would easily be in my top 5 albums of all time. So yeah, that was my list. Mastodon from not worst to best, but from greatest to masterpiece. Let me know what you think. What's your favourite Mastodon albums? I'll be interested to see if anyone breaks that top 3. Like I said, most people will have those same top 3 albums, but maybe in different orders. You know, I'd love to hear if you're a fan of their later stuff. I absolutely love Mastodon's later work. It's just a different vibe, and it's still good. So yeah, till next time, take care.